challenges that impact negatively on service delivery, such as vandalism, theft, and illegal connection, etc. In other areas, theft and vandalism are associated with organized tenders crimes. For when government property is vandalized, it will require us to be fixed. And we also note the provincial government recommendations that municipal safety and security functions needs to be reinforced and enhanced. Could the Premier kindly outline the provincial action plan on this matter? Secondly, in many provinces that we have visited, we realize that provincial government is contributing to the financial hardships of municipalities by failing to pay their debt that they owe to municipalities. In Gauteng, what is the total debt owed by provincial government to municipalities? And if there's any, are there any practical payment plan in existence in order to pay the municipalities? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson. I have one question because my colleagues have covered others. I would like to check what is the picture of the amounts that have been withheld by the province on municipalities that are not spending on their grants. So what is the picture there? What can you say as a province towards us discussing with the municipalities on their challenges, on their inability to fully spend on their grants, that sometimes leads to provincial government withholding certain amounts or withholding the equitable share? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to the Premier, MECs, and the colleagues here in the joint team. I think the unfortunate thing, Premier, is that everyone looks to Gauteng as the guiding light since it's the economic hub. I think there's one thing maybe which too often is ignored, but which is very much a factor and which has come through as well as we visit municipalities, and is the high politicization of that the team just cannot operate. I mean, and the fluidity of the office bearers, the mayor and the exco. I think this is becoming an issue maybe which needs to be addressed directly. Secondly, I think it's very commendable what you shared with us, because it's certainly lacking in many municipalities, and that is, I mean, we have raised it in some of the visits, is having some form of a deep stick in terms of finding out, I mean, if you are in service delivery, you need to know that whatever efforts you are putting in place, what is the feeling of the communities, and how are you doing, some gauge of how you are doing. So I think it was impressive that you are doing that. I think the key thing though is after they've come back to you with all that, I think you mentioned a number of 600,000, if I'm not mistaken. Then I think the real test, acid test, is then how is the response after they've come back to you in terms of consequence management at that level. Otherwise, that tool can really easily end up being ineffective. I thank you, Chair.
Take the responses for these three questions. Proceed.
Just quickly, Chair. I indeed agree. You know, the issue of vandalism, theft, and illegal connection, in some instances, fuel the need for the tender system to come on board to resolve some of these issues. But we are of the strong view that we are dealing with organized syndicates that are targeting, especially copper. There are many traffic lights that we've fixed. You fix them today, tomorrow, they are not functional because there is a syndicate that is targeting them. We're also trying to use some different technology to deal with this matter. In terms of our provincial action plan in fighting vandalism, theft, and illegal connection, I'll leave it with MEC Mamabolo. Chairs a committee with all municipalities on this matter every Tuesday. The departments in the province that are owing municipality, I held many meetings with the mayors. My message is simple: switch them off. Switch them off. If there is a department that owes you, that I have the honor to lead as a premier, switch them off. Because we can't complain of people outside that are not paying services to municipalities, and we as government, we contribute to that as well. It does not make sense. So my message is very simple. But I said to municipalities, even if you switch the departments off, find a way of communicating with us to say, we have communicated with this department, there's not adhered to, that is why we are switching off. Because in some instances, it's the lack of information and alertness, where department was not alerted, they're not even aware. But if you communicate, then they can be aware of that. So I don't know, maybe MEC Maile can explain that. I don't know the exact figures, but I've given all the mayors, and they sometimes call me, we're about to switch off this department. And I say, right on, switch them off. Because if you don't strengthen municipalities, there's no way that we'll be in a position to support service delivery. So I just suspect that our figures are not that huge ever since we've taken that decision for municipalities to deal with it. I'll also leave the next question on withholding of grants not spent by municipalities to MEC Maile. Let me thank the leadership of the FP. You know, the politicization of municipalities, you are right. It's at the center of majority of the problems that we are facing at local level. And that is why we really believe that the coalition framework needs to be introduced to really protect administration. Because these changes, they sometimes affect local government badly. You know, our service delivery tracking system, which is in the office of the Premier, which almost close to 30 or 40 call center attendants that also assist us to track. We've just introduced a new one now that tracks land invasion. So if people invade land, we can pick it up immediately. It's some of the innovation that we think it will assist us. So there's a support system, and there's also consequence management on those that are not responding. That is why when we meet with executive mayors per quarter, we take them through that we reported this has happened, or nothing has happened, please make a follow-up or take the necessary action that needs to be taken. MEC Maile, can I leave these ones with you?
No, thanks, Premier. Thanks, Chair. I don't have the figure that we owe as we speak now, but I know that we spend at least 3 billion as a provincial government every year towards raising taxes, water, and electricity, because the payment is decentralized. Every department is responsible. Our Department of Infrastructure Development, which is a custodian of our property portfolio, at least spends just over 1 billion, them alone. And then education, as you know, there are Section 21 schools which are responsible for their own accounts. And then there are those schools that the Department of Education is responsible for, and the Department of Health as well. But what we have done, we have created a committee that is responsible for monitoring the payment of raising taxes, water, and electricity to the municipalities, which has Treasury, I think, COCTA, and other departments that are, in fact, all departments. Then they are monitoring it regularly because we are committed to paying. We have not withheld any funds as a province to municipalities, but it doesn't mean that there are municipalities which have accounted for all the monies that we've given them. So we have put mechanisms in place to engage them find a solution to resolving those issues, because we don't believe that withholding funds will solve the problem. We need to deal with the problems that makes municipalities not to account, and in most cases because of the capacity, the management, and the leadership, and all that. But we are monitoring it regularly. Thank you.
Thank you. That's covered. Let's take the next.
Sure, I would do all